Located right across the street from the University of Minnesota campus, Annie's Parlour is a landmark of the college's surrounding neighborhood, Dinkytown. The historic building that it operates in serves as a constant reminder of the rich history and community that is present in Dinkytown today.
Dinkytown is a commercial district found within Minneapolis, Minnesota, along the east bank of the Mississippi River. The district was established around 1899 and quickly became a hotbed of student activity. No one knows for sure where the name Dinkytown originated from, but the main idea of the origin is from the freight locomotives that used to run through University Station, which were often called Dinkies. Dinkytown history is rich in student activism, such as numerous protests against the Vietnam War and the Red Barn fast food chain. Establishments like the Dinky Dome, now a loft space and a food court, and Gray's Campus Drug, now the Loring Pasta Bar, started to create the antique, lovable ambiance of the good old days that we still feel today. Al Milgram, a filmmaker and past U of M student, says, "Dinkytown is a kind of repository, with a rich collection of oddball characters, artists, literary people, and university students. Somewhere in this transition of people through the years, there's a permanence here. Everyone who comes to Dinkytown leaves with stories of their own, but many people come and go without knowing all the other stories in history."
When the building first opened in the late 1800s, it was a dance hall for young college students to go to on Friday and Saturday nights. Later, the top became a bookstore called Perney's Books, where students would go to for new and used textbooks, along with tomes on philosophy, history, and science. The first Annie's opened on West Bank Cedar Avenue in the 1950s, and the Dinkytown version followed about 5 years later, although it was originally known as Green Streets. There was a problem with Green Streets in the 1970s. It had good food, but no one came. The owner, John Remark, who also owns Convention Grill, decided to change the name to Annie's Parlour, as well as he shrunk the menu to mostly burgers and melts. Ever since these changes, Annie's had good business.
The man we interviewed, named Tom, is a regular customer at Annie's that has been visiting there since the 1970s. He told us the original Annie's was a shotgun store in the West Bank. The place is surrounded with other shops, such as a soup kitchen. He said the founder realized that the area, Dinkytown, lacked a sit-down restaurant, which he soon decided to create. Tom is still a proud customer of Annie's and plans on staying a regular customer for the rest of his life.
Annie's was one of the most classic BFS, also known as burgers, fries, and shakes, places to eat around campus, and has stayed that way since the 70s. Though newer and more modern restaurants were opened around the area, the building still attracts customers because of its old-timey feel. Annie's has also influenced other restaurants in the Twin Cities area, such as Convention Grill, to have a small menu that attributes to good, old-fashioned American food.
Throughout the years, Annie's Parlour has gone through many changes both culturally and physically. The building has had many purposes in the past, but has always been a great source of entertainment and joy for the people of Dinkytown. Its magical ambiance and retro feel never ceases to draw a crowd. People of all ages enjoy spending time at this location because of the sense of community it holds. Although there are many other historical sites in Dinkytown, this restaurant has always stood out from the others because it has such a big cultural significance to the people who live there. Generations of people in the Dinkytown area and around the region can recall the feeling of Annie's Parlour and the impact it had. The simple food menu and collective appreciation of the American dining experience holds generations of people together.
So you can kind of just tell us, like, what's your favorite thing about coming to the restaurant, or why do you keep coming back?
Oh, it's just a very comfortable place with fairly nice people working here. I mean, it always has been. So that's why, I guess. And as I say, it is a very comfortable place. The only thing it lacks is a nice big fireplace.
Yeah. How long have you been coming here for?
Well, I can't remember which year it opened. Let's see. I worked in the library, and I left the library in the late 70s, and University Library. And Annie's started on the West Bank. There were a lot of these storefronts there, and the original Annie's was the shotgun store. And then, and at that time, there were other shops and a soup kitchen and other things down the block. And then Annie's expanded into the storefront next to it. So he started there. I forget which one opened first, but he opened at the back of Dinkeydale here, he opened a Pumpernicks. And then on the west bank, next to the bank, was a teller building. And it's an Asian restaurant now, Oriental place. But he put another Pumpernicks in there. And now this was a little different from Annie's. I was told that Remarsik's ambition was to have a real sit-down restaurant. So he opened this place in the 70s. Now, I can't remember when or what year. And he called it Green Streets. And it took a long time to get it done. I know a couple of friends of mine who owned stores were laughing at him. Because, well, one friend of mine worked for him. She says, John could never make up his mind. And he'd come in and say, oh, do this and do this and do that, without thinking about what people had to do to accomplish it. So she told me I'd come in every day, and I said, oh, John, you have some wonderful shirts you have on. And then when he gave me an instruction, I went and did it, and he'd come along and say, well, what did you do? Well, you told me to do that. In which she said she trained him in to think about what he asked for. So it took a while to get this place open. But he called it Green Streets. He was going to have soups and regular meals here. And I was kind of looking forward to the soups, really. But he had swell lunches, heavy-duty lunches, and then it died. So eventually he moved the Annie's Parlour menu to this place, and it became Annie's Parlour. And a couple things from Pumpernick. I think he brought the soups from Pumpernicks, that kind of thing. Now the Pumpernicks had pastrami and pepper cheese. He had deli cases in there. He sold blocks of cheese and meat and salami and stuff too. But like I say, he eventually opened a place downtown and then opened some other restaurants that were more to his liking, a little more formal restaurants. And he bought the convention grill out in Edina.
It's right by our school.
Pardon?
Right by our school.
Yeah, well, I remember that because back in those days, I went out there, long bus rides, so I could go see horror movies at the old theater, which was still a theater. No, the last I heard it was a laundry, but I don't know. And I walked into the convention grill, and I sat down. I looked at the menu, and I looked up at the waitress, kind of startled her. I said, what is this place? Because I was looking at an Annie's menu, and I would spend days on end at Annie's Parlour, and here I go clear out through Edina, and I'm sitting at Annie's again. And he had bought it and moved his menu to the convention grill. So that's what he was doing. Now this building, when I came to view, the basement was an art store. The first floor was a bookstore, and this was a book bindery up here. And quite a thing, because if you've ever seen some of the bindery and the rolls of covering for books, they're very heavy. They came in bales like this, about that round, so somebody had to carry them up here on their shoulder. But it had been that way for I don't know how long. But eventually the bookstore went under. The university, it sold textbooks, and the university went direct and no longer gave them their textbook list, so that was the hard base that kept them going. The art store closed up, and then at some point Romarsik bought this place to put in Annie's Parlour, or Green Streets. But the interesting story about this place was a guy named Bill Beard, played tennis, worked for the university bookstores. I haven't seen him for several months. I think he's older than I am, and he's retired, and his legs don't want to play tennis anymore. But he knew a lot of stories about the area. And he knew the woman who ran the book binder. And he'd talked to her once. She says, well, I got out of college, I don't know what year, but quite a while before. And she started working here at a book binder, I suppose an accountant or something. And she went home after the first day literally crying. The men that worked here were so rough on her and so crude that she didn't know. She wanted to quit. And her father said, no, just tough it out, you know. And by the time Bill was talking to her, she owned the place. And she left here to move out to, I don't know where she took the pine tree, but elsewhere, maybe the suburbs or something. But that's what the building was. And then Remarsic remodeled the whole place. And a few changes, pretty much the way he remodeled it the first time. He was going to have a salad bar, but the fixtures for the salad sat there and sat there and sat there, and finally got turned into tables because it never happened. And like I say, the business here was not conducive to the kind of menu he had put up. So he said, well, I can't do this, so we made it Annie's Parlor, and then it took off with the malts and the burgers and the sandwiches. That was what the area seemed to want, not the heavy-duty meals. So it's been here, well, since the 70s. Christ almighty, how long is that now? Let's see, I went to England in 79. It was opened by that time. I was one of the first customers here. I was one of the first customers at both Pumpernicks, but not the original Annie's on the West Bank. But everybody else that worked in the library went there. So eventually I found it and really liked it. But like I say, the people in the library used to go out for new restaurants. So a bunch of them would take off during the day for their lunch. I remember a Mexican restaurant opened up, and the next day most of them called in sick with stomach trouble. But that's where this place has been, and it hasn't changed much in a long time. A couple things got added to the menu, but it's had pretty much the same menu it had when it opened. Now, at that time, everything was 75 cents. Triple cheese, and it was a triple cheese sandwich then. Burgers, Caesar salads, and no French fries. It took a year or 2 years for the waits to convince Remarsic to put in French fries, which became, one of their best sellers. So just about everybody's been in this and the other Annie's one time or another. I still run into people who used to come here when they were in school. Remember me, which I don't know. Bothers me a little bit sometimes since I've been here that long. But that's pretty much the basics about the place.
So this place was, the person who opened up this place also opened up Convention Grill?
Yeah. Well, the Convention Grill was there. I suppose it was called the Convention Grill. I had no idea. It's just that I went out to the suburbs to see movies, and I was there long bus trip, and I was early, and I walked into the restaurant, and Remarsic had just bought it very, very recently. So he had expanded there. And he has other restaurants, and he had one over in the St. Anthony area for a while. And he has one downtown that I've never been to, and I cannot for the life of me think of the name of it, but it was closer to his idea of a coat and tails place. If you ask Mindy, she may know, but I just cannot think of the name of the place now. But it was down in the warehouse district. Still is. So what do you want to know?
Well, that was a really detailed explanation. That was amazing. Do you know a little bit about the role that Annie's kind of plays in the Dinkytown community? How it kind of fits in?
Well, it's a restaurant here, like any other restaurant. It's never had. Remarsic has a funny reputation, but one of them, I remember when one of the fellows that owns the fabric shop on West Bank, when his wife died, Remarsic supplied stuff for the funeral. And he owns, and they still own a lot of, if not antiques, the bench and the pews came from his collection. And he's had other furniture and probably a lot downstairs that he had collected, which I guess are antiques or whatever. So he does that. But in the community of the place itself, he might have had more to do with the West Bank than here. But he doesn't, so far as I know, have much to do with the community, but I wouldn't know either. But over there he did, and that's where he started out, so he knew the shop owners and the bar owners, because I used to hear stories about him from Ted May, who owned the 400 Bar, and things like that, because May used to rib him about this place while he was setting it up. And Ted would come in to Annie's on the West Bank. They had what they called a Ted malt, because he wanted his malts done a certain way, and he's one of these guys, heavy-set guy, black hair and a black mustache like that, and everybody liked him. And so he would tell stories about Marcy, because Marcy ribbed him about the restaurant he made, and Ted got back at him because this place was taking forever. Another thing is the place came without a deck, and somebody finally convinced John Marcy to put out a deck. Well, it took a while to do, and it was barely open, and down the street comes the local building inspector. He looks up, and he sees the deck, and he says, I don't recall paperwork for a deck up there coming through my office. So he came up here, asked to see the paperwork, and Marcy had never applied for the licenses to put the deck out. Yeah, and so he closed it down right away. He didn't make him change. He made him put in the back stairway. And I remember the people who owned the project in the back was a taco place, but Coke owned it. And the guy wouldn't give him the property to the area so he could put the stairway down. So Marcy apparently called Coca-Cola and says, well, now you own this place, and this is what I want, and I buy Coke from you. And they told the manager they squared it away so he could have the stairway in the back. Otherwise, the guy didn't ask any changes. The deck was well built, it was made well, there was no problem there. But it took a long time to get it open because the city was computerizing the plans and for the building. So the plans for the building were not available. And until they were available again, he couldn't do anything. So it sat empty I get it open during the summer, but it took a month or two to get that going. And that's pretty much the way it's been ever since. The kitchen isn't large. They can accommodate the restaurant here in the back room. They can accommodate the deck, but it's a little hard for them to accommodate both the deck and the back room at the same time. They just can't get the stuff through the kitchen. They have tried, but But as I say, the place is pretty much the same with a couple of changes, more tables, and he took out a couple of fixtures. He used to have a jukebox up there.
Yeah.
I remember that. And that, for whatever reason, disappeared. I don't know why or what the deal on that was. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same as it's been since it opened.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Okay.
You obviously we know a lot